This morning, I found our cat dead on the street and got hit by the car. There are two of them, and this is a gentler one, the other one. The other one was more mischievous. But whatever the cause is, I had some impact, so I'm reflecting. First, I want to talk about how I went through the last 3-4 hours, and along with it, I want to talk about the framework of how I am processing it. There are various references I want to make, and I don't know if I can capture all of it. But when I realized and I was sitting by myself, first thing that happened in my mind was the cause of it, what triggered the event to happen, what was controllable or not, and what I have learned. So it's kind of like a logical process of solving problem. It's not just in the mind process, but I had some impact in my sense that I felt like maybe my heart was not beating normal. I don't know if that was the case. But I often talk about two universes, so there's a mind universe and the rest of the universe is the law of nature manifesting. And also I talked about the mind and body relationship and biofeedback. So paying attention to the sense of how I feel in my body as I experience event is a natural way for me to do it, because if I caught up in the mind but not being able to process beyond the mind, there's a limitation. That's the two universe discussion I talked about. But still, you go through this process of cause and effect, what could be done, what have been learned, and to move forward. So it took on and off 1 hour around that. And my friend or partner talked to her friends, sharing what happened. So they liked the cat. And we figured out so that the city can take care of the body, that they can process it. So it's all done. So back to my historical process, if I call it, of how I process this, is first to look for what happened and why and what have been learned, what can be done in the mind. In the meantime, I'm more processing as usual in terms of root of who I am, manifesting and let it resolve, not from the mind point of view, but from the, say, law of universe to self-organize itself. So there's no leftover, ideally, strain left, and blockage or any of that to develop. I could avoid it. In other words, nature take care of itself. Everything is impermanent. If left alone, nature take care of itself. Somewhere in the first 1 hour or so, I was reflecting the quote by Lao Tzu, because I was posting my voice memo onto the YouTube. And one theme there was about the state of being, here now, and calm and quiet mind. Let nature to take care of yourself. Even the sense of nirvana, blissful sensation. So typically, whatever the problem or difficulties I face, I always relate to that. sometimes in the middle of the night, just process it, go back to sleep. It's easier daytime because I'm much more perkier. In the nighttime, I'm not as perky, obviously. In any case, the word popped up from Lao Tzu is stop thinking and end your problems. That's kind of obvious or natural, also related to what I've been working on or processing. Melting into the nature is a way of stop thinking, paying attention to the breathing in and out, and let the nature to get the air in and breathe out, and relate to how the body responds and the sense of waku-waku. I call it the aliveness that start to build up. So what happened is that originally at the first 40 minutes, 1 hour, thinking this and that, cause and effect. And after that, eating breakfast, and later, more settled as I get focused into doing things, preparing breakfast and all of that. My mind gets distracted, perhaps. And I know that the repetition is good in terms of building up or using the skill to process, let's say, the memory. If you revisit the same memory, cause and effect in this case of the cat and what can be done, that would reinforce your memory. And that may be like what the Eckhart Tolle called the pain body, may come up with some kind of a unprocessed seeds or reference I may develop. But naturally resolving is a way, and for that, this idea stop thinking and end your problems is quite to the point. If the problem is severe, you cannot stop thinking. That's possible, but still there's a way, and that's why we talk about meditation, breathing, inner body sensation, be here now, awareness, all of that. That's always the theme, which is to connect to the root of who we are. So, initially more in the mind to process cause and effect, good and bad, what happened, what can be done. And further on, it's like going deeper into the mind, into the unconscious part of my being, related to body response and aliveness and connecting to that. So I saw that process perhaps in a natural way as human being. And because when I read the quote from Lao Tzu, stop thinking and end your problems, I was questioning, because you can think certain issue in rational manner, not in a delusional manner, because we have the faculty to think. So far as you can go through that principle of rational thinking, that makes sense. But us being human, the rational thinking may not happen, therefore delusionary thinking pops up, and that's the one that you want to stop. But because we are the biological being, it takes time. It's like hormone dissipate, takes 1 minute, 2 minutes, some kind of a testosterone or whatever the hormone has a time constant of decay. It takes time. It's a biological nature. It's not the mind quickly thinking and changing the way I move on, because the body response is different from the mind. So I think that's what I see in this process of the early phase and the in the mind, and then the second, more settling phase, and the dissipating process to let it resolve. And after 2 hours, then you can see picture perhaps more clearly because of the possible impact and the sharing of the information with others and all of that has gone. Just like perhaps people listen to some speech of someone, get excited, but the excitement goes down over time. Good or bad, that's the biological symptom, exponential decay. Therefore, whatever the unnecessary, useless information, delusion, if you touch on that, it's going to pick up again to remember. So, just like Lao Tzu talking about stop thinking, end your problems. In other words, that quote of stop thinking and end your problems is necessary in certain situation, but if the problem is something you can think and come up with the answer, you don't need to stop. So each of the quotes need to be understood in a rational manner, but also related to biological thinking or process, and connecting to the law of universe, which is biological. So that's basically the point. And one other thought that popped up that was interesting is that in relation to two universes that I've been talking about, I use the word plan, do, check, act cycle, planning and doing and checking and acting and planning and going cycle. It's a way of learning the lesson and improving. And that's more in the mind framework. It's a rational process. And that's what I used in the first phase. And in the second phase is that after using it, no point of further using it. So let it stop thinking of that. And then you pay more attention to your process of Sila-Samadhi-Panna. If you do whatever you need to do and have a calm and quiet mind, which is like a stop thinking, or it stop by itself may be a better way because the nature takes care of itself. And what happens with that nature take care is that not solving the problem from the mind, but solving from the point of the root of who we are as wisdom. And that is not ego or the brain's work, but deeper in our being has the ability to bring out the miracle, wisdom, compassion. It's no point of hurting yourself, so you stop it. Mind may understand, but nature has the way of sharing that, self-organizing that. So that's the ending part of this video or voice memo. To characterize the process short term, what happens in relation to the mind and heart or brain and the core well-being, and in the long term, how it can be processed using the mind and brain in a rational manner, but always connecting as a foundation to the source of who we are, the root of who we are. It may sound tricky, but it can be digested and disciplined, because I think that's a good way to characterize and go through difficulties. But also opportunity is the same thing. If you flip the coin and look at the opportunities, all the wisdom and the wonderful thing may decay over time. And that's nature's way, because the environment changes and you change. But in the meantime, every now and then, to capture some of the wisdom that we can. My own experience, as well as from others, like Lao Tzu, or Sai Chi I've been talking about, to reinforce from the brain point of view, to have the rational process, but from the heart, the body point of view, or from the universe point of view, to have us so that the miracles, the nature's way, would manifest to resolve the situation, because that's the ultimate absolute that we should abide by. That's my view. So, maybe case settled, but something may pop up. But we can process, or I can process in a similar fashion moving forward. Thank you.